Hey, what's up everybody, it's Axel, and today's video we're going to be talking about the Softears Enigma. Enigma is a 12 driver tri-bird IEM from Softears. It has 2 DDs, 6 balanced armatures and 4 EST drivers. Comes in at a price of around $3,699. First of all, you get this huge box that you see in front of me, and inside that box you get another box. If you want to open the second box, you kind of lay it flat on the desk with the word Enigma on top, and then you open it and it will kind of unfold. When it unfolds, you get these beautiful compartments, and if you open each one, you're going to get like something inside. For example, this is a 1/4-inch adapter and a cleaning brush, and the earpieces are in 2 compartments and so on. Now, I took what's inside here, put it outside. I'm going to show it to you. First of all, for example, I get this aluminum model, metal model, feels very cool to the touch and looks premium. It's a model of the earpiece itself, and it's kind of nice. They take pride, you know, in their design. After that, you get 3 pairs of ear tip. You get the Softears Ultra Clear or UC ear tips. You get foam ear tips, and you get standard silicone. If you get this IEM, I advise you try them, because the Enigma kind of responds differently to different types of ear tips. And then you get this single-ended cable that kind of looks similar to, you know, the standard soft ear cable that comes with the Softears Twilight and the Studio 4. The only difference here is that you get this Enigma written here on this metal part. After that, you get this carrying case. I call it a travel case, but it definitely feels very premium. It's a hard case on the top, on the side, you know, everywhere. It's a very protective case. It's made out of leather, and it has this stitching right here. It looks actually wonderful, lightweight as well. And then you open it, it's kind of padded inside, and it has this soft texture to it. And you get inside this protective pouching, you know, so that you don't scratch your earpieces. You get cleaning cloth, you get a manual, a card, and you get this interesting cube that if you want to like assemble it by yourself, right? Definitely interesting, right? It has the Softears logo on it, and it even has these pins and screws. So and it comes even with a screwdriver. So if you want to assemble it, I tried. If you want to take a go, you're more than welcome to try, right? And after that, we get an effect audio cable. Its thickness is, I would say, thin to average, and it has this color and feeling to it. It has some slight memory, nothing noticeable, but it's soft enough. It's not stiff, and I've never had any issues with dangling with it. Shin slider works, and I don't get any microphonics with it. And it has this Connex system, so if you want to change it, like you kind of unscrew it like that, and then like use MMCX, use a Pentacon connector, use whatever you want. Then you get the earpieces themselves. This is how the Softears Enigma look like. They have this absolutely wonderful design. Obviously, this is going to be a subjective thing, but I think they look wonderful. They have this contoured shape to the earpieces themselves. They have this glass cover. I think that has a function like dampening something. Very, very nice. Let's talk about fit and comfort. Nozzle diameter is 6.4 millimeters, which is on the larger side of things. For me personally, I didn't have any issue with it, and actually I achieved a very, very nice fit with this nozzle. Put it in my ear, I got a deep fit. Noise isolation, I will describe it as average, and I could wear it for hours and I never felt it. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the tuning. Let's talk about the sound signature. I will describe the tuning of the Softears Enigma as, let's say, neutral with a slight bass boost. I know this is an IEM actually that doesn't sound exactly like a Graphs, and I'll kind of explain that in a moment. But overall, I think the sound is overall, let's say, balanced instead of neutral. Let's say it has a highlight on the mid-range. It has an, you know, a slight bass boost that just prevents it from sounding analytical and gives it some fullness, gives it some fun factor. And the overall tonality just sounds very natural, very balanced. Nothing stands out with the exception of the mid-range. And the whole sound is very dynamic, very detailed, and absolutely very enjoyable. So let's talk about the bass. Now, the interesting part here about the bass is that it's handled by 4 drivers. You get 1 dynamic driver, 2 balanced armatures, and 1 passive dynamic driver that absorbs the reflections or vibrations. Despite this complex setup, I think the bass sounds very cohesive. It sounds like the sound is coming from a single driver. I will describe the bass with these words. I would say it sounds clean. It sounds very detailed, tight controlled, fast snappy attack, medium decay. It has exceptional, outstanding texture. I'm talking about like texture for days. Another thing about the bass here is that it's fast and it doesn't overshadow the mid-range. I know it looks like a lot on the graph, but it doesn't really sound like a lot. Like, it sounds like balanced. And I will say the bass of the Enigma kind of complements the overall sound. Like, it adds, like, you know, some fullness to the mid-range, gives it a slight bass boost, but doesn't draw attention to itself, you know what I mean? It doesn't grab your attention. It's just there to balance the sound, to make it sound natural, doesn't make it sound analytical, gives it a fullness, has some nice impact, has a clean presentation. Moving on to the mid-range, I think this is the part that is like the main standout feature for me personally after the resolution for the Enigma, because I feel it's the highlight of the show here. It's one of the standout features. The mid-range of the Enigma takes a front and center stage to the overall sound presentation, right? We're getting a very accurate sounding mid-range, let's say. To me, it has a lot of mid-range clarity, fantastic presentation. For example, the vocals, the male vocals have a slight warmth, just a touch, to prevent it from sounding thin, so it sounds natural with a slight warmth, just a touch. And a lot of the instruments that live in the mid-range, that for example low-end piano notes, cellos, have the natural thickness and have proper note weight. Another thing is that female vocals, you get an airy extension, they sound ethereal, they sound extended, fantastic level of detail, and everything just has a slight emphasis, like a slight forward sounding mid-range, but still you get enough headroom so it will never sound shouty or even close. You get a lot of headroom. You can listen to rock and metal and raise the volume, enjoy yourself. It will never sound too much or harsh in any way. Rather, you get fantastic natural sounding timbre, and you get fantastic exceptional separation and layering. I'm talking about, for example, a lot of the instruments, let's say the vocals like kind of sound separated from the mix, separated from the instruments, and the instruments themselves sound separated from each other and sound spacious. So you get this fantastic layering effect, and it sounds natural as well. It has the natural timbre, whether I'm talking about pianos, cellos, flutes, saxophones, everything, even violins sound fantastic, you know, sound very natural and very detailed and kind of highlighted in a way. When it comes to the treble, I will describe it as, let's say, detailed, present. It's not actually like it looks on the graph, or at least for me, it doesn't sound relaxed, you know. It sounds even slightly forward when you raise the volume a bit, but I will say it sounds balanced. It kind of gives some, you know, clarity and shimmer to the overall sound, and it kind of enhances the upper mid-range. That's why female vocals sound very extended and very detailed. Other than that, whether I'm talking about strings, whether I'm talking about cymbals or electronic elements of the music, I'll describe the treble as extended, detailed, precise, without sounding harsh or fatiguing. Sounds natural to me, with just enough extension to sound it very detailed. There is also an element of sparkle that you keep getting with this IEM. It always adds some, you know, enjoyable sparkle, but overall I would say the treble is balanced and kind of balanced with the bass, and just the emphasis here comes on the mid-range, which pushes everything in the mid-range a bit, slightly bit forward, and it sounds very enjoyable. Let's talk about the technicalities and detail. This is something that I think the Softears Enigma is class leading in. I'm talking about top tier resolution right here. This is a very resolving IEM that can actually rival some of the best IEMs I've ever heard, at least. If I bring up my technical scale, I will put this right there at the level of the Annihilator VX. Another thing that distinguishes the level of detail of the Softears Enigma is it kind of sounds effortless. Like, things sound very detailed without effort. Things don't sound squeezed or forced. Everything is kind of relaxed and spacious at the same time, if that makes any sense. And again, fantastic, you know, class leading level of instrument separation. Another thing I appreciated about it is when the track gets busy, it still maintained that fantastic level of micro nuanced level of detail. And I'm talking about things like bands like Nine Inch Nails, Depeche Mode, or even orchestral music where you have a lot of instruments on the stage. It still maintained, you know, even when the tracks get busy, it maintained that level of nuanced sound. In terms of soundstage, I think it's above average. It's kind of expansive in all three directions, but it still sounds natural enough. It doesn't sound like, for example, exaggerated. It still sounds natural. That's why I keep saying the Enigma to me sounds natural and balanced. For example, some other IEMs I have listened to, especially some IEMs that have bone conduction driver, they kind of have this exaggerated kind of sound effect, which is, you know, reminds me of the HD800S, which is actually very enjoyable. I'm not like knocking it down or anything, but here I will describe the soundstage as above average, but still natural sounding at the same time. Imaging precision is still above average as well. Layering and separation is exceptional as well. And with that said, let's move on to the comparison segment. All right, this is the Annihilator 2023. Obviously, like, looks are going to be a bit subjective. I think both of them look fantastic in my opinion. First of all, let's talk about the differences in the tuning. The Annihilator 2023 takes a different approach. It's a slight V-shaped tuning, so it puts some emphasis on the bass, some emphasis on the treble, whereas the Softears takes a different approach. It puts emphasis on the mid-range, and the whole tonality sounds a bit more balanced. So for some people, including me, the Annihilator 2023 is going to sound a bit more fun, a bit more exciting, a bit more, you know, like you tap your toes when you listen to it, you bob your head. It's a very exciting and, let's say, fun, engaging sound signature. It's a bit colored, right? But the Softears Enigma sounds a bit more like neutral, relatively speaking, or let's say a bit more balanced, and it puts emphasis on the mid-range, and it shows when it comes to the mid-range clarity. If I talk about the bass, this is what I meant when I said like the graph doesn't represent it that much to me, because they look similar on the graph, but there is a big difference between how they sound. Like the Annihilator sounds bassy. It has a strong emphasis on the bass, and when you listen to it, again, the bass is fantastic, very powerful. Like, it has that very powerful oomph and impact and fantastic texture, but it draws your attention, it grabs your attention. Listen to it, the bass is there, and you know this is fantastic bass. On the Softears Enigma, I will describe the bass more, like I said, clean, detailed, slight boosted, but doesn't draw attention to itself. It's like complementing the whole sound signature and just balancing things out. A slight boost, there is a slight boost, but when I listen to an Annihilator, it sounds a bit more bassy. When it comes to the treble, I think both of these have different unique presentations, and both are fantastic. The Annihilator 2023 is probably one of the best treble presentations I've ever heard. There is something unique about the way it renders the treble. It's hard to put into words. It's just very ethereal, very natural sounding, even when it's like emphasized, doesn't sound emphasized. Like, when you raise the volume, listen to rock and metal with the Annihilator, raise the volume, the treble will never annoy you. It's a very unique sound. Whereas on the Enigma, I will say the tuning of the treble is also unique. It's very detailed, it's very clean. I will describe it as balanced. It's like not emphasized the way it is on the Annihilator, but it's kind of balancing the whole tonality and sounds natural and neutral as well. When it comes to the mid-range, here, you know, the bass and the treble take the emphasis, and I think here the Softears Enigma kind of take the emphasis on the mid-range. And to be completely fair, there is a bit more vocal clarity and mid-range clarity on the Softears Enigma, and it has this highlight that kind of pushes everything forward and they pop from the rest of the music, and you kind of now understand that they are different. If you like prioritize fantastic EST treble, you want some emphasis on the bass, you like the slight V-shaped sound, the Annihilator is probably going to be the best option. If you like the mid-range clarity and you want the bass and the treble kind of to, you know, balance things out and not take, you know, the emphasis in your music, I think the Enigma is the more balanced option. It sounds balanced, it sounds, you know, natural, let's say. Let's now talk about who I recommend the Softears Enigma to. If you like this tuning, that's number one. If you like this type of tuning, this balanced tuning that emphasizes the mid-range, and you want an IEM that pushes these things forward, highlights them in your music, so you enjoy the instruments, you enjoy the mid-range. If you want an IEM that has these qualities and tuning and comes with like Endgame level of resolution, this is an Endgame level of detail. If you like something that has a lot of drivers and has a lot of detail, but still sounds balanced, still sounds cohesive, something that will work across all music genres, never sounds shouty, never sounds sibilant or harsh or bright, something, honestly, that I will describe again with the words balanced. That's how I'll describe the Enigma. Who I don't recommend this to, number one, is people like who are bass heads. All right, this is not a bass head tuning, and even people who like a lot of emphasis on the bass, I think they're not going to find it here. This has a slight emphasis on the bass, but it's more about the whole balance of the tuning. Another thing is, I don't recommend it if you're like looking for a V-shaped sound signature or a different sound signature. This is, you know, a different one. If you're looking basically for overly warm or lush vocals, I will describe this as neutral and accurate sounding vocals and mid-range, but there will be other IEMs if you like, you know, an overly warm or lush type of sound. And let's move on to the final rating. How will I rate the Softears Enigma? I will give the Softears Enigma a solid rating of 4.5 stars out of 5. I think it sounds fantastic. It's excellent. It's near perfect. It's definitely a top contender, and it gets double thumbs up from me. This is a great sound if you like that tuning and you like vocals and mid-range with a slight bass boost and enough treble to make everything sound balanced and endgame detail. So that's it, guys. That concludes our review of Softears Enigma. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you have any question, leave it down in the comment section below. And until next time, peace.